silent. Thank you, Madeleine Albright, for that quote. Hi, I'm Melissa Hayes, and this is Letters to My Daughter, a weekly podcast devoted to women, mentoring women, and dedicated to daughters of all ages, everywhere. So let's get right to it. Yesterday, I was sitting out on our deck with my daughter, Sarah, my youngest, and she was saying how she's terrified of public speaking. She can talk with anyone. She can sit and have a conversation, but if you put her up in front of a room, she just falls to pieces. And actually, public speaking is the number one fear above dying for most people. It's amazing. I, however, am a professional public speaker. As my mom would tell you, I started speaking when I was 10 months old, started talking. By the time I was a year, it was full sentences, and I have never stopped. But what about most people, maybe you, and you don't feel comfortable using your voice? The problem with that is when you don't speak up, your opinions, your expertise, your knowledge, your wisdom, your curiosity doesn't get shared. Your compassion, your kindness doesn't get shared. All right, so let's say that you recognize using your voice is important. But that doesn't change the fact that you're still terrified to get up in front of an audience of people. So what can we do about that? Well, old conventional wisdom would tell you to imagine people in their underwear. And I suppose if that helps, then knock yourself out. Other people, more conventional wisdom, would tell you that if you're talking in front of a room full of people, you should look over the tops of their heads, just right over the tops of their heads here. They won't know any different. They won't be able to tell. Except they can. People can always tell what isn't real. You can't fake it. Now, other people would also tell you the thing to do is to script yourself very well and memorize it, or use note cards. You have notes right in front of your face. But have you watched speakers like that? It's painful. It's really painful. And I don't think it makes the speaker any more comfortable in front of an audience of people. All right. Again, we've identified the problem, but what can you do about it? What can I share with you that you can do about it? So in all of my years coaching people to speak in front of audiences, coaching performers and speakers of all kinds, the number one thing I start with that I want people to understand is that you have to speak with your heart. Your voice and your heart are so intrinsically tied that is exactly why you get afraid to speak in front of people, Because when you use your voice, your heart becomes vulnerable. And that is a risk you have to be willing to take. You have to open your heart to the audience. When you look at people, you have to see a human who you care about, who it matters to you, that they hear you, that they understand, that they grow and gain from what you have to say. Because if you're just speaking to hear the sound of your own voice, then you don't actually care about your audience. And I'm going to reference again the Living 5 Rules that I've talked about before and that I used in my company over and over and over. And rule number 2 is you have to actually care. No pretending allowed. If you want to get a copy of all 5 of those rules, you can go to my website, elisahayes.com, and there's a tab that says freebies. Click that and it will take you to where there are some pre-downloads that include Living 5 Rules. But back to what I was saying. We get anxious and nervous, stage fright, or just simply frozen speaking in front of an audience because we're entirely focused on ourselves. When you feel that way, your heart is vulnerable because you're using your voice and you have fear that your heart will be wounded, that people will be unimpressed with your speaking. And that hurts. That hurts your heart. So the best way to practice being able to speak in front of audiences of people is to practice being willing to be vulnerable with your heart, speaking to one person, to 2 people, to 3. Can you be willing to be real? Can you be willing to look at them and care, genuinely care about their well-being? And now here's another important piece. You have to have confidence, complete confidence, that what you have to say will benefit them, that they need it. Again, if you're just talking to hear your voice, or you're just talking for the purpose of marketing or branding, or because it's an assignment and you have to, then it's going to be painful for you and them. But if you have confidence that what you're saying matters, they need it, it will help them. Not out of any sort of vain arrogance that, oh gee, you're so wise, you know everything, and they really need to hear you. It's not that. It's that you value your voice. You have to value your voice and be vulnerable with your heart. When you can do that, then you can speak in front of audiences of 1 person or 10, 100, 1,000. It won't matter. Because the audience will feel and recognize your genuine caring about them. And when you look out at the audience and you're looking at people, individual people, not blocks, sections of the room, but you really see people and you care about them and you have something to share with them that matters to their well-being, it becomes a whole lot easier to speak, to use your voice. And I encourage you to use your voice because you have so many things to share with the world that people need to hear you. I'm Elisa Hayes, and this has been Letters to My Daughter. Thank you for inviting me into your ears, your mind, and your heart. You can find out more about me at elisahayes.com. If coaching is what you really need, you can certainly contact me and we can talk about how I might be of help. In the meantime, please stay in touch and remember to share the love.